A CVA is a legal lifeline that could pull your business out of the fire and stop insolvency before it's too late. Now in 2026, we're going to see a lot more CVAs being used more than ever by struggling UK companies. And what they allow you to do is restructure your debts, keep trading and protect jobs. But most directors don't understand how they actually work and they assume that it's just for the big boys. The truth is a CVA can help a small business too, but you've got to act early enough. If you wait until HMRC files a winding up petition or your landlord changes the locks, it could be too late. A CVA works best when you make the first move, when you decide to take control and not wait for creditors to do it for you. Now, I worked with a director in manufacturing last year. He had £900,000 worth of creditor debt, 3 months of unpaid rent and a broken cash flow cycle that he thought that was irreparable. Now, when we got involved and we looked at what was going on, there was a really good business in the midst of all of this. And we assisted him with setting up a CVA, and that allowed him to essentially keep the business open. His creditors agreed to 40p in the pound over 60 months. So he got 60% of his debt written off and it saved 20 jobs. Now, I want to talk to you about what is a CVA. A CVA is, for its real name, is a Company Voluntary Arrangement, and it's a legally binding agreement between your company and its creditors to repay all of the money it owes or part of the debts over a period of time, usually up to 5 years. Now, the benefits of a CVA is you, the director, you keep control of the company. The creditors will freeze interest and they will freeze legal action, and you make one affordable monthly payment to an insolvency practitioner, and the insolvency practitioner distributes that out to the creditors. And it's approved through the courts, okay? But it's driven by you and your insolvency practitioner. It's not forced on you by creditors. A CVA doesn't close your limited company, it gives you a second chance. You stay in the hot seat, you're still making all the decisions, it's just overseen by an insolvency practitioner. Now, if what I've shown you so far has piqued your interest, you have more questions about CVAs, what I want you to do is to go to the comment section below. There is a link at the top, put your details in there and one of my team will call you today for some free, impartial, no strings, no obligation advice. So let's talk about how a CVA works step by step. Well, step one, you need to speak to an insolvency practitioner or somebody like me. And what we'll do is we'll discuss what's going on. We'll find out what the problems are, what the various solutions are. And we're going to review your finances. We're going to review your creditors list. We're going to want to see some cash flow forecasts. And they're like the architecture of your proposal, okay? It's finding out the finances of this business. And what we need to see is, even though that the business is struggling short term, which is why you're picking the phone up, we need to see that there's going to be some cash flow generated in the future that's going to allow you to not only continue running your business, paying everything that needs paying every month, all your running costs, but there's going to be some surplus over that you can offer to pay the creditors in the CVA, okay? Now, the second step is building your proposal, and this is done by the insolvency practitioner. Now, it's quite a lot of work, so most insolvency practitioners are going to want some fees on account for you to do this, and it ranges the complexity of your case. It might be 5,000, some IPs will want 10,000, but they're going to want some money and commitment off you to get to this stage. And what the IP drafts is a document, and it shows all your debts, who all your creditors are, what you can afford to pay them monthly in a CVA, and a proposed repayment percentage. So sometimes when you do your cash flows, it's no possibility that your business can pay everything that it owes back. And it might be that you can afford to pay 30p in the pound. You might be able to afford to pay 90p in the pound. The proposal is all driven from the cash flows that are provided, okay? And then in the proposal, there's going to be a term. And some people do a CVA over 2 years. but most are generally 60 months, which is 5 years. You've got to be realistic at this stage, because the proposal must show creditors that your plan is better than liquidation. Now it's called a comparison statement, and what your creditors are going to pay particular interest to is this part of the proposal that is the comparison statement, and it basically will tell the creditors what they will get in a liquidation scenario and what they will get if they accept and approve the CVA, okay? And hopefully the scenario in the CVA is a lot higher than the scenario in a liquidation scenario, okay? Now the next step is to circulate these proposals to your creditors, okay? So like a draft proposal will be sent to you for review, and once complete, the insolvency practitioner sends the proposal to all creditors and to the court. Now the creditors can view it electronically and they can cast votes online. That could be HMRC, it could be landlords, it could be suppliers, but generally speaking, they will get a copy of this draft CVA before it goes into court. And they might say to you, well, actually, I'm not happy with this, or we need this to say this. And what you want to try and do is get into that negotiation early with the creditors. Or I say you, it's the insolvency practitioner that does this. Because the more communication you can have with creditors before the CVA goes into court, the more chance people are going to vote in favour for it. And that's the next step, is the vote. Because for a CVA to become binding, for it to pass, 75% of voting creditors must approve it. And it's by debt level. So let's say that you owe £1 million out. Every vote, every pound is a vote. And you would need £750,000 worth of votes to get the CVA passed. And if they do, if it does become passed, the CVA becomes legally binding on all creditors. Even those creditors who voted against it, they're in the CVA. And that's the beauty of a CVA, because the majority rule protects your business. Now, once your CVA is approved, it's about implementation. You've got to start making monthly payments to the insolvency practitioner. And then they get that monthly payment in at the end of the month, and they distribute the money to the creditors and they file progress reports. You stay in charge of the business, but you've got to have your wits about you. You've got to trade responsibly. You've got to keep your returns up to date, and you've got to stay current on your taxes moving forward. You've got to make sure that that payment to your creditors gets paid at the end of every month. It's really, really important that when you're doing that proposal stage and you're putting together your cash flows, you're not too optimistic. You know, don't say that you're going to turn over this much in the next 12 months if the only way you're going to turn over that type of money is with a market improvement and a strong wind behind you. Now, once all this is done and you've paid all your payments into the CVA is completed. After that final payment, the CVA ends, okay? Any remaining unpaid debts, they are written off, and the company will exit insolvency and you can move forward debt-free. And a CVA isn't about paying everything in many cases. It's about paying what's realistic and then rebuilding the business. So there are a number of situations when a CVA works really well, and it's for companies perhaps with predictable cash flow that have just suffered some short-term issues, businesses that have got loyal customers or long-term contractors, long-term contracts. You might be a haulier that has an O license and it's not, going into liquidation or administration would nullify the O license, which means you can't continue to trade. Or you might be a care agency that's got the CQC. And again, if you was to liquidate or go into administration and start again, you lose that CQC. So maybe it's for businesses that have got something in the business that needs protecting. And there's a lot of sectors it's good for. Retailers who are trying to restructure rent agreements with landlords. Construction firms who are in the middle of contracts, they've got really, really good contracts, they've got good forward cash flow, but they've had some bad debt and they've really struggled. Service businesses that have got big HMRC arrears, this is another way of saving the business. And a CVA works best when your business model fundamentally is sound, but your debts are killing it. Now, there are a number of ways why CVA would fail. One of the biggest one I see is unrealistic repayment offers. You're being too generous. You're seeing this through rose-tinted glasses, and you are offering to pay them something back that you're never going to be able to sustain. Another reason why these fail is poor communication with creditors. You have got to put your best offer forward, and you've got to be guided by the insolvency practitioner. Another reason why they fail is you haven't got your taxes up to date, or you're late filing returns on the run up to a CVA and HMRC vote against it. And another reason why I see it fail is because you think it's actually a delaying tactic instead of a plan. So you're threatening to do a CVA, and really you're just trying to buy time, and one of your creditors get fed up and they just go, no, I'm going to wind this company up. And you've burnt the bridges with the creditors, so when they do get to vote, they're like, no, this person's been messing us around for too long. Now in 2025, I think it was about 28% of CVAs failed early. And I don't believe it's because the businesses were doomed, but because the directors didn't stick to the plan. And you've got to treat this like a contract. It's not a lifeline that you can ignore and still mess about with. So I want to sort of go on to benefits of CVA, because there's a lot of benefits. It stops legal action, okay? If you get a CVA approved, your creditors agree to it, or 75% of them does, that stops any legal action. There's a wall of protection around the company when you're in the CVA. And most importantly, it's going to keep you, the director, in control, okay? Remember, you don't have to appoint an insolvency practitioner. It's just an insolvency practitioner that has to supervise a CVA. It can protect jobs. Really, really important. And obviously, if you're in a CVA, you're still trading, can protect your reputation. And it's seen as, from a PR point of view, it's perhaps seen as a more of a company rescue than liquidation. And in a lot of cases, it's going to allow you to pay back less than what you actually owe. And in the end, if you get through it, it ends with a debt-free operational company. Now, if you are struggling, okay, you can't, you're a UK director who's under creditor pressure and you think your business could be saved, okay? I want you to contact Director First today. We'll help you assess whether a CVA is right for you. They're not for everybody. For some people, it's, maybe a better option will be a liquidation or an administration. But we will walk you through it. Okay, we will discuss what it's going to look like, what it's going to cost. We will hold your hand. We will bring one of the IPs onto a call to help you understand it from an insolvency practitioner point of view. Now, pick the phone up, okay? Drop your details in the section below. Or, if you want more information about how CVAs work in actual practicality, I want you to go over there. I want you to go over there and we'll talk about a job that we've done with a CVA, and you'll be able to understand everything about how CVAs work in real life. Go and click that link there. Thanks, mate. Bye-bye.